let's go over the Stadia's failure. I'm sure Ackman's going to do a really thorough dive on it. This is just such a victory lap for me. I still remember the second this got announced and like their first trailer, I was outspoken about how silly it is. I didn't believe it was a good idea, and I was firm in my stance that I didn't think it would succeed. And I had so many fucking doubters, especially in chat, that were like, "No, Charlie, this is actually the future. You're just too, reptile brain to see the potential of the Stadia. This is how gaming's gonna be from now on. I can't wait to get my Stadia. I've already pre-ordered." And I called you a fucking idiot. And now look at it. It's already dead. It was a complete waste. Like an absolute crash and burn project. Another Google stinker right into the trash bin. Just like Google Plus. And the million other products Google has tried to launch. Now maybe there's still some merit to the idea itself, but the Stadia was never going to be the one to execute it well. It never stood a chance.
After just 3 short years, Google has announced that they are pulling the plug on Stadia, canceling all future support for
cloud gaming. Why?
18th. Like watching a kid stick a fork in the electrical outlet, we all saw this coming. Breaking into the console or a team, it represents thousands of people who are working on this business. Thousands of people no longer working on this business. And that's just
if they ever were to begin with. I don't really think this is like a good argument for the sake of it sticking around either, to be honest. This doesn't really address the question super well. It's just like, we put a lot of money into it and we have a big team. Of course it's going to succeed down the line. Like, the answer I would look for is, how are you going to ensure that it stays in the market, like, and is competitive? Not like, well, we already poured so much money into it, so of course it's going to stick around. You know what I mean? It just it's such a non-answer.
But it's backed by Google, so they've got a pretty good chance. I say it all the time, first impressions are so important in gaming. I have
such
so
a bad,
little patience for
such
things
a bad
that
first
suck
impression.
and don't work. This is how.
Does anyone remember the old Stadia commercials they used to run during, I think it was E3 2019? They've made like a big push in, I really think it was E3. They were like floating around through like space and time or something after going through a kid's room. Oh my god, it was so embarrassing. Jesus Christ.
I have no regrets. The first impression didn't stick the landing, and I was never given a reason after this to ever pick up a Stadia or try it.
Do you remember, I think it was a year after launch, they still only had, was it sub 10 games on their service? I wonder if I can still find the old articles. I think it was like a full year and they only had like 5 or 6 games on the entirety of Stadia. And they were all full priced. Let me get the exact number. Let me pull up an old article. Google Stadia only has one exclusive game, which is Tequila Works' Guilt, which was a system launch. And there's no word yet on what exclusives could be. And then they speculate that Typhoon Studios might have one, which I don't think they ever did. But yeah, as of January 16th, there was one exclusive on the game. As of February 19th of this year, they have 200 games. 286 games as of February of this year. The service launched with 22 games and added 4 more in December of 2019. By the end of 2020, the service had 130. Okay, thank you.
Google Stadia is not a video game console.
It's a controller.
It was software, not hardware. Yeah. And I only just
get a controller
realized
for
that
the cloud gaming
after it was canceled. That's how poorly the marketing got the message across. That's how nobody talked about it. I mean, this was supposed to be a massive new competitor to Sony, Microsoft, Nintendo.
And it was so
Steam,
close,
Epic
goddammit.
Battle.net. And I don't even know what was
It's
special
on the cusp
or
of
unique
greatness.
about it. If you actually go
I'm sure he's going to show it, but I'll tell you right now, I'll rip the Band-Aid off. I also thought the Stadia was a console for like the first 2 years. It wasn't until we were doing an episode of the podcast where we were joking about it that we learned the Google Stadia was never a console. It's a controller. And it's a controller that like gives you access to the Stadia Cloudflare gaming. So you never even got like a console. You got a controller. It's basically, yeah, like he said, it's basically a software. And I think you could access the software without the controller. I don't think that was necessary, but if you purchase like a Stadia, I suppose, you get a controller.
These are all games that are think they're running through these very quickly right now. The biggest
Damn,
thing
that's
about
a
what
sick
Google did
controller.
with their platform with Stadia.
Looks like the
was
Ouya.
controller. Like I legitimately think they're gonna be X, Y, and around the back here.
Yeah. It's just a pretty standard controller. I wouldn't say it's a sick controller, but it's a functional one. Like, this is just the tried and true vanilla controller design. Nothing crazy about it, not reinventing the wheel. But it's fine, it seems.
Been the absurd gaming platform on Earth.
Yes, this is the one.
I mean, it supported 4K resolution and 60 FPS with HDR. They had a premium subscription service, kind of like Xbox's Games with Gold, where you'd get free monthly games, and once you got them, you...
What's crazy is this 50 games instantly is their whole catalog. They launched with 22 games. So they're already promised... Well, I don't know when this was. But they're promising more games than their service currently had. And they finished with 286 titles, which is actually less than the Nintendo 64 had. I think among all consoles, it is the lowest amount of games total, at least of consoles I can think of. Even the Sega Genesis, I think, had more. And that was a console that was dead on arrival because they surprise announced it at E3 and said, go buy it right now. It's in stores. Let's see. That's considered one of the biggest console flops of all time, and Sega Genesis had... was it the Sega Saturn? I don't know, I'll check both. But Sega Genesis had 800, and let's see the Sega Saturn. The Sega Saturn had 1,046. So it was definitely the Genesis I was thinking of. And I was wrong, Sega Genesis still had more titles than Nintendo 64. Nintendo 64 had 380 something, I think. How many did the Ouya have before it died? Let's see. Did it beat the Ouya at least? Oh, fuck me. Before the Ouya's untimely demise, it had 1,250 games. As of June 2019. Jesus. Yeah, I guess it just ported all the mobile games, so it's kind of cheating. Let's see how many exclusives Ouya had, because the Stadia finished with, I think the article said 10. So how many exclusives did Ouya have? Oh, shit, it beat the Ouya. Oh, wait, no, that's 2014. Damn, that's like the most current article on it, too. As of 2014, the Ouya had 6 exclusives. Stadia had 10.
Fuck Nintendo is doing with Switch Online.
No. Ouya didn't... I mean, no one played Ouya, mind you. Ouya was completely a joke, a huge meme. I had an Ouya and I used it as an ice tray at one point. Like, it was a complete worthless piece of shit. What is the Ouya? It was... What do you mean, what is the Ouya? How the fuck is there anyone out there that doesn't remember the Ouya? This was the most popular Kickstarter for a long time. They hyped this up as like, console for gamers, by gamers. It's going to have every game you've ever wanted on it. It's also going to be coming at the highest possible graphical resolution. It's also just going to be one of the best gaming experiences you'll ever have in your life. Just like filled with a bunch of buzzwords and everything. This is probably just clickbait. But it was just filled with tons and tons and tons of buzzwords, but it just ended up being mobile game ports and shovelware. Yeah, like I said, I had an Ouya. I used it as an ice tray. I tried it, but it had no use, so I used it as an ice tray. Like, what the fuck else was I supposed to do with it?
Own product, I can say, hey, go follow me on Instagram. That doesn't cost me anything. It just seemed like Google started this thing, noticed that it wasn't gaining traction immediately, and then like was slowly
Is Destiny 2 on
the
Stadia?
plug out until just now when they finally yanked that last little bit out. Google also,
I kinda wanna try
in
Destiny 2
2021,
on
when they
Stadia.
shut down some of the game development they were doing.
What a disaster.
Their idea was to shift to more.
Some Destiny players had a Stadia just to play ranked because it was against much easier players. Oh, that's so smart. That is so fucking smart. Oh, you just play against Stadia gamers? Fuck me.
Especially if it doesn't offer any obvious benefits. Like, bro, apparently Hideo Kojima was working on a new Death Stranding exclusively for Stadia, and Google canceled that? Like, how?
They must have
How do
watched
you
my
do
moist
that?
meter.
It's Hideo Kojima. Google had created You're out of here. On a positive note, though, Google will be refunding anyone who
Actually,
bought games on
huge,
Stadia,
yeah.
and that's the most pro-consumer thing they can do out of this. Obviously, they're not gonna like refund, this service that you paid for. It's a service, right?
We literally signed the publishing agreement with Stadia last week, so I would assume the internal teams there, who are lovely, are likely finding this out at the same time we are, since I had a super energetic meeting with them last week about us joining. Eek. Ooh. Big stinkerooski on that one.
Peace.
Nice. Rest in peace, Stadia. Oops. Just another big I told you so moment there, gamers. I told you that shit was destined for failure. Oh, I knew it. But it's not just me. Pretty much everyone said that was probably trash. There was just some people that really bought into it. It really wasn't just me. That was like the coldest take of all time. It was awful from the get-go. Thanks to Resub West and JB. I just always hold these like one guy grudges, or like one guy's like super passionate about something, but I know he's wrong. It's just like, oh, I can't wait. I just can't wait until it's like definitively proven. Like this. Just like Anthem, by the way. I will always wave that around. I said with Jackson during the Anthem beta, this game is absolute abhorrent trash and it's terrible. And we got eaten alive on the Anthem subreddit. They're like, these fucking assholes don't understand that it's a beta. They don't get it. All of this is going to be fixed when the game releases next month. All of their complaints are going to be looked back on so stupidly to think that they wouldn't be addressed by launch. And you know what happened? None of them got fixed because the beta was out a month before the fucking game was. They had no time to fix it. Delusion. And then they never even apologized to us on the subreddit. They just silently agreed with us and then made posts whining about how bad the game was. Anthem trailers and pre-release media made it seem like it was the next best game, new Destiny, and then it flopped harder than any other game. Yeah. It had a lot of potential. It really did. But the beta, it became very clear that it was a pile of trash, steaming dog shit.